everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with you all today. Can you hear me? Yeah. In beautiful Munster. Thank you to Bevra and to VOD, the German Police and the Policing Academy for your hospitality and for the opportunity to discuss collision investigations with you, a topic very close to many of our hearts. Many of us have come to do this work because we've been personally affected, having had a loved one killed or seriously injured on our roads in a totally preventable road crash. It's not something we have chosen, instead we have been compelled to act. To lose a child is the worst thing that can happen to any parent. To have them taken from you in such a sudden, violent and traumatic way, in many cases by law-breaking drivers, is absolutely soul-destroying. And our bereaved families are now compelled to try to do something in order to prevent our needless pain being visited on other families. Road crime is real crime, and these deaths and serious injuries must be dealt with the priority that they deserve. It's very important that we call these events road crimes and reinforce that these are crashes, not accidents. Terminology is so important. The word accident should be reserved for medical incidents, as Jacqueline just alluded to there, such as heart attacks or strokes maybe at the wheel of the car. Policing must be properly resourced, investigations must be thorough, and those affected must see some semblance of justice. A thorough investigation is vital, not only so that our families obtain the justice that they deserve and are in some way provided with the resources that they need to cope with life, because they can never be compensated for the loss of their loved one or the loss of their quality of life, but also so that we can ensure that lessons are learned and that we can work to prevent a recurrence. Our global road safety efforts must also be truly evidence-based. A thorough investigation forms the cornerstone for justice. Criminal justice depends on it for appropriate prosecution or sentencing. Civil justice relies on it for fair and timely compensation. Road safety requires it so that our work is truly evidence-based. The bereaved and injured deserve it for procedural justice and for recognition of their rights in both the criminal and civil process. The wider public also need it to ensure road dangers are reduced and the lives of their families are protected on our roads. In the International Road Victims Partnership, over 100 NGOs from all regions of the world have come together. Our mission: to improve the post-crash response and to advocate for the rights of road victims on a global level. Our work highlights the role of justice in reducing road crashes and road danger, particularly collision investigation, criminal justice, civil compensation, and victims' rights to information, support and protection. Given the vital importance of the police crash investigation, our first project concentrated on this topic, and we produced a road death investigation survey, and the report, copies of which are available there at the end of the room for anybody who'd like to take a hard copy away. In many of our own cases, it wasn't just the unnecessary and untimely death of our children or loved ones which compelled us to act. It was the shocking failures in the justice system. Our having to fight for information around the circumstances surrounding their death, the failure to collect vital evidence, the failure to treat our loved ones' deaths like other homicides until the contrary was proven. It was as though their deaths didn't matter. Yet our bereaved families' lives, as we knew them, were obliterated. The fact that our loved ones were killed by a car or a HGV doesn't make them any less of a death. To a family, a road death has the same effect as a murder, and its investigation should be no less thorough. If road crime was treated as a real crime, a road death investigation would and should be as extensive as a homicide investigation. Yet, these sudden, traumatic and violent deaths are treated as accidents in so many cases and investigated accordingly, with too many law-breaking drivers thereby avoiding any sanction for their crimes. Our NGOs work, therefore, to ensure the development of minimum and best practice standards in collision investigation, criminal prosecution, civil compensation and victims' rights. We shouldn't have to fight for this information. It's a basic human right to know all of the circumstances surrounding the death of our loved ones. And we now work to ensure the inclusion of collision investigation, criminal prosecution, civil compensation and victims' rights in road safety programmes in the UN Decade of Action. And for thorough police investigations, including data collection, preservation and the sharing of information with all stakeholders. Sometimes the reasons given for withholding this information is that police don't want to upset those affected, our bereaved families. For us, the worst has already happened. Nothing can hurt us anymore, but we can be, and indeed have been, re-traumatised by the criminal justice process which has failed to meet our needs. Transparency in road death investigation is essential. Information and the facts surrounding the circumstances of our loved one's death helps to alleviate needless suffering. Transparency is also much needed if we are to properly manage victims' expectations and to ensure investigations are thorough. So much depends on it. But with roads policing and collision investigation rarely a priority for politicians or senior police, the budget and staffing levels of collision investigation should be reported to help deter underinvestment in investigation. For justice to be done, it must be seen to be done, and this includes transparency with investigation outcomes, procedures, budget and staffing. We need transparent and accountable police investigation procedures, with judicial outcomes of collision investigation published, with investigation procedures and budgets reported. This will help prevent unrealistic expectations, with collaboration with victims and campaigners, with surveys of victim satisfaction in collision investigation, and with annual reviews of the effectiveness of collision investigation. Our global injury prevention programmes also rely on timely, accurate and complete data being collected and shared by police collision investigation teams. And these road safety and collision reporting projects should include collision investigation. We need to be reviewing each fatal and serious injury collision to determine what could have prevented them. Lessons must be learned if we are to prevent a recurrence. Road victims and their bereaved families have rights too. Just as road deaths are to be presumed to be homicides, so should bereaved families be treated as bereaved by homicide, unless and until the contrary is proven. In addition, guides for bereaved families, which explain the investigation procedures, including the timeline, as well as their rights, if any, should be developed and provided to all of those affected. Police should be held responsible for keeping families updated on the developments of the investigation. This needs to be done in a timely manner to ensure that they can take expert opinion and advice in advance of any hearings or inquests, and not be put in a position where they hear evidence for the first time during these hearings. Timely provision of this information, including the information of the full circumstances surrounding the death, must be provided if re-traumatisation is to be avoided. The quality of road death investigations and improvements in same largely depends on the demands from victims and the public. Our victim advocates need to continue to raise awareness of the inadequacies in investigation and the impact that that has on lives and justice. If we don't, they will continue to be overlooked and underfunded. Our NGOs work to reduce the suffering of other bereaved families, including that caused by the justice system after a crash. Much of this additional trauma could and should be avoided. Bereaved families need to have confidence in the police collision investigation, and this requires transparency as well as investment. So what makes a good post-crash response? We must have thorough collision investigation of the crash. That includes properly resourced and trained police collision investigators. It includes national standards in collision investigation. It includes a thorough forensic investigation at the scene and follow-up by the police. It includes mandatory and routine testing of all drivers involved and of all of the known contributory causes of road crashes, thereby ensuring road safety work that is truly evidence-based. It includes appropriate criminal prosecution of the offender, and that includes specialist prosecutors for road deaths and serious injury. It includes prosecutions to reflect the crimes committed with no plea bargains. It includes sentences that fit the crime of taking a life or affecting the quality of a life. It includes information, support, care and compensation for the victim and their loved one. It includes prompt rescue and emergency care, information, support and protection for the bereaved and injured victims. It includes rights of victims to free information, support and protection, and to be treated like other victims of crime. Road crimes are real crimes and not accidents, and again, terminology is so important. It includes civil compensation for the bereaved and injured to assist their recovery. It also means lessons being learned in prevention by the public. That we have a public inquiry into the death in the form of a coroner's inquest. That we have a database of records of all contributory causes of crashes, and that lessons are learned. It includes transparency and accountability, the sharing of evidence with all stakeholders. We need a justice system that punishes and deters law-breaking on the road, that reinforces the duty of care drivers have in avoiding harm to vulnerable road users, that mitigates the suffering of victims, their families and their loved ones, and that increases public confidence in the justice system, helping make road use safer. An effective, proportionate and deterrent legal response to any violations of the road traffic law, particularly where death or injury has occurred, which is commensurate with the taking of a life or affecting the quality of life, with procedures that deliver justice for road crash victims. That's our priority and the reason for the existence of many of our NGOs. Many of our NGOs are victim-led with little or no funding, but with a great passion to bring about much needed change in our loved ones' honour. Too many have already paid the ultimate price with their lives, and we must do everything in our power to prevent this great human catastrophe which kills so many of our citizens every day. It's quite unbelievable that we lose 3,700 people every single day on the roads of the world, yet we hear very little about them. Why? Unlike airplane crashes, these tend to be individual tragedies like our own, with families left alone to pick up the pieces and deal with the horrific aftermath. Our NGOs step in to help. We must all work together and do more to prevent this great human suffering. Thank you for all that you do to help us alleviate the suffering of road victims and their families. We really appreciate your support and look forward to our ongoing future collaboration. Thank you. I forgot to have my slides. There's only a couple. That's the report at the back, the one right there, and the other one on victims' rights. That's covered photographs.
We will share it afterwards.
Yes. I think it's
Any questions to Donna?
on my glasses, so I can see.